Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome. I know, I'm sorry, right? This is like a nice party. I don't mean to interrupt, but what an incredible gathering. Thank you all so much for being here. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome Kitt Healy and Jenny Benjamin celebrating new poetry collections. Those are The Hundredth Hour by Kitt Healy and Painted Women in the Walls by Jenny Benjamin. So thanks to both of you for being here, to all of you for being here, and to everybody watching from home or wherever you might be. Speaking of those two books, they are for sale in the bookstore. So if you have not already, do yourself a favor and grab a few copies, maybe. They make great gifts. And no, they really are both tremendous books, and would highly recommend them. So please visit the bookstore. And please, I hope you will join us again in the future. Specifically, next Saturday, March 22nd at 7 p.m., we'll be hosting Jerome Ellis. They are a musician, poet, visual artist, sort of polymath, and they'll present portions of their latest transdisciplinary project, Aster of Ceremonies. The book that's part of that project is also available out there. Also, that will be in celebration of this exhibition, This Rhythm That's Mine, which was has work by and was curated by Jerome Ellis in collaboration with others. So it'll be sort of the official celebration of this opening. Next Saturday, the 22nd at 7 p.m. I hope you'll join us. Beyond that, Thursday, April 3rd at 7 p.m., we'll welcome two remarkable poets, Sarah Larson and Kai Inns. That'll be great. And then a whole lot more besides, April's coming up, that's Poetry Month. So a lot of things happening. So visit us online at woodlandpattern.org to find out more about the goings on. And then finally, we'll conclude the announcements portion of the evening by saying that this, as with many of our programs, is presented on a give what you can basis. We are a nonprofit, so individual donations go a long way towards supporting us, especially as, public funding is in jeopardy. So anyway, if you're in a position to give, we're very grateful, but also very grateful that you're here, which is its own incredible form of support and making this space with us. And so thank you for that as well. Okay, that is enough of that. Let's get to the poetry, right? It's an incredible pleasure now to welcome Jenny Benjamin, who is the author of the following novels: This Most Amazing, Enhanced, Corrupted, and Redeemed, the Terrian Trilogy, and Heather Finch. Over 40 of her poems have appeared in journals and magazines, and she has 2 poetry chapbooks, More Than a Box of Crayons, and Midway, 3, and Painted Women in the Walls. But Midway, which earned second place in the 2017 No Chair Press Contest. A Milwaukee resident, she is a former educator of underserved youth and is now a freelance writer with her business JB Communications LLC, and an independent contractor with People First Wisconsin, a statewide self-advocacy organization for people with disabilities. She teaches novel writing and poetry classes with Virginia G. Piper Center for Creative Writing. In her latest book, Painted Women in the Walls, Jenny Benjamin offers, quote, a window to another world, but one which is our own, as if I'm going to quote now Mauricio Kilwan Guevara, who notes, quote, who writes, girlhood, womanhood, motherhood, Sylvia Plath and Lizzie Siddell, Moses as a baby, Italy and London, the self as exfoliating Selkie. Jenny Benjamin has me scratching my head. How did she manage to arrange so much so exquisitely in such a small space? And Benjamin's poems are nuanced and are marked by nuanced and intricate density. narrative poems of lucid surreality and alchemical fabulism, poems rich with allusion and pointed social critique, all with a keen sense of the musicality of language, tracing recursive sonic threads through, quote, numbers of years set down like dust. It is a great pleasure to welcome Jenny Benjamin.
Trying not to cry at the beginning, just to hear the introduction. Thank you so much, Woodland Pattern. And as Ann Kingsbury and I were saying, Woodland Pattern has been such a support for my poetry, going back for the first youth poetry camp in 1999. Ann hired me to be the first poet, and it was rough, but we got through it, and it was wonderful. And since then, so many of the fundraisers, the poetry marathons, and for my other book, coming in and reading for More Than a Box of Crayons, and now being part of the Read Shop, and just it's such an integral part of my writing life and just my personal life too. So thank you, Woodland Pattern. And I'm so grateful all of you are here. This is just one of the things that always keeps me writing, is to see so many people come together and to enjoy words and enjoy feelings, and feelings put to words, which is poetry. And so thank you for that. I'm going to start with the first poem in, and I'll say the page number if some people wanted to follow along, I heard. Page 1, The Magician. And I have a couple things to say about this poem. It's a series of tarot card poems, and I brought the one it's based on, The Magician. And I have the first 3 poems. I just like to look at the cards and write about them. So I have a couple stories and I have a few poems. So the first one is The Magician, based on that card. But the second thing that I want to say about the poem is that I always think of it as an invitation to poetry. And because when you're a poet and you're trying to think of things and you have these weird thoughts, and all you want to do is lead someone and welcome someone to your strange little world. And this is kind of, to me, what this poem is really about. So, Magician. I can divine these brambles or the gnarled flowers at my feet. They obscure my heels as I float on yellow horizons. Tip the diagonal of my arms into the numbers of years set down like dust. I can, you see, lead you somewhere. Over rock and highland green, I can conjure stone from earth to make a window to another world. Come with me. Take the tips of my fingers, interlace the leaves, and set down your sword, your wand. You have no need for all the people who make up your mind. You have no need for the lily or rose jabbing between your legs like a crude lover. Walk this way with me, and I will tip the stars down your throat. Drop the grapes and roll them over the skin of your neck. Only then will you have the idea of splendor, of the eternal. All you need is the staff to guide your way. All you need is to follow the shift of my eyes. I may lead you somewhere, or you could go the other way. Sit down at my table. I'll flip forever like a figure 8. I'll let you look at me for as long as it takes. Let's begin. I promise this is something you won't forget. Oh, that's sweet. You don't have to clap it for each poem. It's very encouraging, which is also, it's very nice. The next poem is in the collection, Painted Women on the Walls, and I am going to read a little bit outside of this too, because I always like to, say, hey, here's another book, you might like this poem, so you can buy that one. And then also, I always like to read poems I'm working on now, because it's very, encouraging and something that is meaningful to me. But this next poem is part of a series. So the pages Clutched by an Early Noon Sun starts on page 4. It's in sections, and I'm going to read section 7 on page 10. And what this poem really gives a little window into the fact that I am a fiction writer, because you have a couple of characters repeating, and they're signified differently. So woman and husband, or mother and son, and the last one, traveler and man. So if you read it closely, if you have the book or want to get the book, you can kind of trace these characters and see. And the other thing about this poem is a practice that I do for those of you who write, and I always trying to get ideas going, or if you're teaching, I my teacher loved ones here, is that I did this kind of a found poetry approach to this poem. I have a lot of books in my house, not a surprise, and I went around the house and I would just pick up a book and write down a word. I love word lists, so write down 1, 2 words, and I ended up with like 1,000 words, all right? And so I was very focused on this. And then I had these characters swimming around in my head, so then what I would do is start writing it, and I would just look at the word list, and the words would kind of inform me and tell the story, and it put different connections of words together that I would have never done, and that's this poem. And I'm very, very happy that it was published in a magazine, and then it's part of this collection. So this one is called Traveler and Man, and this is also a nod to my traveling kiddos who are, and to my younger self at 23, though this is not me. Everyone always, Jenny, is that you? No, it's not me necessarily, but is a character based on when I was studying in London. So it's called Traveler and Man. It's page 10, Cindy. Traveler and Man. Mid-morning in Whitechapel, she's fresh back from the continent, that glossy spray holiday, her backpack like the marble steps of Italy. She'd stripped down in her dorm room and showered in the rusted room and flip-flop spot at Camden. Top 10 showers, she thought, of all time. Took her time with the lotion and decided on a V-neck blouse with gold lace, an extravagance, music and the old hinges her worn legs became on the cobblestones of Prague. German hostels, the dark bread mornings and thick coffee, jam like petals in the mouth. The women washing lower panes of windows in Vienna. She's closer to Rome than to anywhere else. The dark pews of white churches, cold hammer traffic, the sky wild with runes and smog. Her only task, to scrutinize the afternoon through eyelashes wet with water from fountains, to juggle words and phrases, un museo, dove il bagno, un pappagallo verde. Savory, sputtering eggs inside her mouth, her mind ping-ponged grammar and verb tenses, hordes of unpinned sensations, a dank woodland nel soprobito, the overcoat, Tolstoy? No, Gogol, panting bonfires and catacombs of stolen monasteries. Now she rides the East End rickety tube with nostalgia for her second home, America, a fat balloon of amusements drifting farther away. At Whitechapel, the crowds wail mundane movements from stoplight to crosswalk, and as she turns away from the station, a robed man stands near a waiting car, his eyes black wells for hiding places, thickening embers with climates arid and expansive. His squint at the nearly new sun and this slight bird-tread glance at her makes her sink, a sprouting downward into cement. A clutching wind moves her. Somehow she takes this as a signal and shares a cab with him, though she has little money. The pounds in the palm of his hand, the possible slide of his crimson robe, his dark skin, his loose curls of brown hair, a cloakroom for her hands, his patient face. She sees while wandering the lilied pools at Kew. Thanks, Ben. Before I skip around a little bit, this next poem, and there's so many parents in here, friends, and how hard parenting is really, and very particular single parenthood, which I've experienced, and this feeling of desperation, fear, joy, all in one. And oftentimes when I'm reading, or especially biology things, and I find an animal that kind of captures this feeling, that's just a poem right there. And this one is that. It's called Bat Love, and it is when I don't know when I wrote it, actually, after my third child. And it is pretty much a metaphor for that kind of feeling of parenthood, motherhood. Bat love. Cradled in the instinct of not just yet, you are here and I am holding on like a hoary bat with frost-tinged fur and worry claws clinging taut with need. And frenzied, yes, I can hold on forever, you under me as we dangle from a tree branch with earth steady below these 3 babies beneath with easy turn of mouth to teat to drink from my dissolving self of years ago. How well rested I looked in photographs and daisy-like open face to the days without the little ones stitched to me on the underside of weary and afraid I might slip up and ruin you. But here my hands run with sinew to wings, so then I may not fly, but it's a trajectory of maybe I can hold on until the universe makes its way to one point. For a little while more, the cells of my membranes and yours will hold out for this blink of time we call life. To be mindful of my times, I am going to skip to the first poem in my More Than a Box of Crayons, and I just feel the need of this. It's my, hey, look at the patriarchy, people, and this is that poem. And it's called Collapsible Women. And I wrote it just observing all the women in my life and noticing how much they accommodate and fit into small spaces and make life so much easier for so many people. And so it has a few little dark moments as a warning, but it's called Collapsible Women. They have found no burning trees in the far-off field or in the lost purple skies of their eyelids. These women shadow all their belongings and fear what happens to their men, but secretly they wish them dead. Have you seen them squint on half-cast days like their thighs were not mothers or cracked sides diminishing in the light? The only way to find them is in the cool mud, philippic, then apologetic for soiling, ruining everything. And the world means everything, from hatching to thunderstorms. They have secured their dead children behind their eyes. Without fail, the babes, oiled and ready for forgetting, will wail and slip like otters into their minds. As the day breaks, we see them packed for anything, apathetic forms that come their way or the way of the children, nested in deep beds of green ground cover. They wait for the purchase of a mockingbird, promised, along with pocket watches, saved twine, and a foxhole for summer tendernesses. They will find a seashore or riverbed to settle into with their chalky eggs, rattling with life. Okay. A couple short ones that are new. And I have been writing a bunch of poems in syllabics. So that means, I'm really, a sweet spot is to have maybe 4 or 5 beats per line or syllables per line. And sometimes people ask me, well, how long does it take you to write a poem? And I know people in my family, especially, or friends, have heard me say, oh, maybe 2 months and then 2 minutes. It just has to sit for a while. But this one I can actually clock, called Return, because my daughter Maggie, last May, which is something I didn't know, that how fingerprints are formed, which I felt a little uninformed by this, pressing on the amniotic sac. So that was in my mind since last May, and I've been writing a bunch of bad poetry since then. And then I had an image of a crow, and it was all, and then all of a sudden, in about 5 minutes it came, after writing a lot of bad lines. And it's a syllabic with a certain 4 beats per line called Return. Morning mist lifts, wolf den waking, haunches stretching, muffled growls, yawns. This makes me think of fingerprints forming inside the womb, tiny hands pressing on the amniotic sac. Mirror touch. The lines make each tip its own map. Trace the lives and see the day drift into focus, a horizon dotted with yolk. Wolf den rises and paws the ground, an effort to return to earth. I see crows land on trees and caw, an opening, our abdomens, chance surgery, where memory fades to wonder. Like mist and its offerings to what we believe. I want to find the origin in the ground, thin and fragile happenstance, fate its own cold line. The wolf den wakes, fingerprints are made, crows break the horizon with black wings, gumption. This may be my return to sky, peregrine flight into the pearl stratosphere. Okay. So I have two more poems, and I'm going to stay out of Painted Women on the Walls and then go back to close. And this is another newer poem that is 5 beats for my little syllabic thing I'm in. And this doesn't happen often. You know, I never kept a dream journal. I thought, oh, I should. But sometimes dreams come and there's a poem and it's awesome. And it's happened a couple of times in the last maybe year, and I grab it when it happens. And this one is for Adam, called Our House by the Sea. My day split and merged with a dream I had of our blue brick house we bought by the sea. Salty air met rock. We turned our tower into a nest with a twirling staircase, treehouse, tucked-in feel, a feather-soft bed in the attic room, ceiling angled slopes. The outline of your body soaked my sight. Air filled with water from your skin became the room, then aglow with apple pear light that blanketed our many buried lives. We peopled the rocks beneath us with our histories until, untamed, we decided, unearthed the selves from before unfolded. We stepped forth to the letting go that seemed dreamlike takeover, but was it? Or was it memory we made in the room, your voice, so raw it rubbed and coaxed me forward, the idea formed of the infinite, confetti sprinkle on those in cosmic music, unburdened, forms stopped in time for a flicker, how the time reeled us in waves upon the shore we found. I'm going to read the last poem in Painted Women in the Walls, and this is my last poem to read. And this is on page 25. If not, Cindy, it's whatever. Yeah, you can listen. Closer to Sundown. And this, again, you find some creatives, you latch onto them, and you all might know Mitch Tyke. I don't know if Mitch is watching out there, who is, I'm grateful for having me come and read poetry on WWM and it's archived now, and I'm very grateful for that, the years he was here. And when he's also an excellent photographer, so he would send me a photograph, I'd write a poem, and then he would read the poem and then use that to inspire or, I guess, influence the photograph he took, and then it came back to me, and it was a big cycle. So this is a poem from that period, and it's also for my 3 kids. Sophia, Maggie, and Allie, and that as they grow, sometimes you're just like, hey, good, come on, fly bird. And then at the same time, you just have that feeling you want to keep them, and that ambivalence is so real and so raw. And so this poem is about that, and it's for them. Closer to Sundown. Are those will-o'-the-wisps to lead me along a new path? Or has the water tricked my eyes to believe in myth? These feathers, really leaves making golden pillow puddles, take shape, and will they fade with sunset at the close of day? I see my mother's patient face teaching me to roll dough, get out a stain, swing a station wagon on a dime turn. Then 2 by 2, my daughters walk, my youngest trailing in a band of light, spanning water in a seam of endless green. My fingers touch their shadows on the ground. I look and see all there is to see. Children living in a theory of vines, climbing red brick, not knowing where the twists will lead. And I want to hold them here, like this, in my hand. But they go like words meeting the universe and disappearing. Instead of stricken to a stop, I proceed as if my tendons, sinew, and muscles are not collapsing. a report to the ever-changing. My bones I wear around my neck to mark the transformation. I am a selkie shedding waxy skin into pools of coming midnight. Children, let me enter your shadows on the spring green. I will teach you how to feel the orange glow of falling sun and the hours sung from cardinal song. I've found this is the perfect world for growing older or growing up. Miniature landscapes of cascading gold and silver dawns, where here we move through folds of light. Thank you, everybody.
Jenny, thank you so much. That's beautiful. And now it's a great pleasure to welcome Kitt Healy, who is a mother, writer, facilitator, and movement strategist for sustainable agriculture organizations. She is of Irish, German, and Sicilian settler descent and currently lives on the present and ancestral lands of the Ho-Chunk people in Madison, Wisconsin. She has an MS in Agroecology from UW-Madison and a BA in political and social thought from University of Virginia. When her hands are not writing, they are likely busy planting seeds, holding a sign at a protest, sprinkling herbs on something tasty, or wrangling her two rascally children. In the 100th hour, Healy finds in those moments, those parenting moments of sleeplessness and routine, and maybe tedium, a space for profound meditation and, quote, through a thicket of breath, gives voice to motherhood in both its mythic dimensions as well as its ordinariness, the dailiness of it all. And in so doing, she traces the, quote, uncountable beginnings that bring each of us here. Bodies within bodies, going back for generations, connecting us with everything else living through, quote, a myth of origins. As Tegan Nia Swanson notes, this is a quote, whether in the liminal space between infant breath and bath steam, or the intricacies of maternal grief mirrored in a yellow pollened river, the 100th hour invites us to hold both our ordinary and our holy dreams close. Please welcome Kitt Healy.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much to Woodland Pattern for having me from all the way in the Wild West of Madison here in Milwaukee. It's so lovely to be here. And thank you also to Jenny for your reading. Where are you, Jenny? You're in the back. I resonated with so much of what you shared, and I felt I changed my order based on the things that I heard in your poems, because there's so much resonance, I think, in the subjects that we engage. And also, Jenny and I are matching. Like, we have not met. Yeah, we have not communicated until an hour, but we're both wearing green and black and leather jackets. So it's nothing if not kismet. And it's just a pleasure to continue following the threads of this evening with you all. So this is my first book, my first published book of poetry. It's all poems. Thank you. Yeah, it's really exciting for me too. And all of these poems that are in this book, The 100th Hour, were written, or at least started. That's a very important caveat, as Jenny knows. They were started within the first year of my daughter's birth. And I don't know if other birthing people in this audience have felt this kind of wild, unhinged creativity coming with the act of birth, of kind of you become a conduit for new life, and then the rest of the universe is like, hey, I'll just go through there too, and like, let's make beautiful things. And so I wrote a lot of poems during that first year. I started a lot of poems. I wrote on my arms, on scraps of paper. I put up a whiteboard in my daughter's nursery so that when I was holding her in the middle of the night, I could just scrawl whatever maniac stuff was coming into my head. And then she's 7 now, so that's how long it took to organize those many thoughts, collect them into 22 poems. So I get to share some of those 22 poems with you this evening. And I'm also going to start on page 1 of the 100th Hour, as Jenny did. And this poem, it's called Bellyful, and it struck me when I first got pregnant and became then prepared for birth and for becoming a parent, how little every other part of my life and education had prepared me to do the thing that humans have been doing for the longest time. Quite literally, as a species, there's, a few things that we've been doing for the duration of our existence as a species. I won't name all of them, but birthing is one. And it made me miss my ancestors in a way that I hadn't before. And so this is a poem that's about that longing for ancestry and about sort of the bodies within bodies that was mentioned. And the reason I'm excited to share it this evening is that my in-laws are here. The Gerdas are over on this side. And they are a family who is very deeply connected to ancestry. And I have learned that and felt at home in this family because of, and I'm going to cry, in some ways because of the deep connections that you all keep very current with your ancestors and your people who have come before. And I'm so pleased to pass that on to my kids as well. So this one is called Bellyful. It's also a little bit of a fish shake at the patriarchy, as you mentioned. Bellyful. In our lineage, a woman heaved and loosed her child into the arms of women. Women holding her up, offering gifts of strength when hers is out, gifts of sweat when hers is spent, clothing their bellow in the hymns of women. Yes, sister, let. Hair held by hands or hide, women showing her as their mothers showed them, how to feed the tiny body, how to clean it, how to make offerings to the gods and which herbs stop the bleeding, and which meats she needs to eat to be strong for the nights ahead. This is what a bellyful of love feels like, they said. Close time like an accordion, we all share one body. Stretch time like an accordion, we forget the purpose of the body. Not a vehicle, not a temple, but a forest. Food, shelter, medicine, shadow, or a storm on the cusp of its might. Thanks. The next one is the next poem in the collection. It's on page 3. And it's called Upaya, which is the name of a Zen center that I visited just before I got pregnant with my daughter. And because I figured before I became a parent, I should probably get enlightened. Seemed like a good step to take. So I did a week-long meditation retreat at this Zen center in New Mexico called Upaya. And I had this really stunning experience of having a dream of the baby that might come. And I've heard also since sharing this poem that that's not an uncommon experience, not to necessarily know it's your child, but to see a child in your dream. And a friend of mine has told me that is the moment where the spirit of the child chooses you. So this poem sort of honors that. And then Tom and I had a conversation, a friend here who's a Buddhist, a practicing Buddhist. We talked about what upaya means, and it means skillful means. And we talked about why that might fit this poem, because in truth, I did not know that that's what it means when I wrote the poem. I knew it somewhere in the back of my brain, but and how there's so much that is skillful means in parenting, but in this early stage of first having a new baby, surrender to the body, surrender to the animal, as you talked about in your poems, Jenny. That is skillful. That is skillful to be able to say, this is just what we're doing right now. Yes, I've been up 5 times tonight, and here we are again. And this is what the body, yours in particular, child, is requiring of us. And that is, I think it's related to the concept in Buddhism. So, Upaya. I had seen your eyes in a dream, looking up through folds of soft green cloth, wise eyes, knowing mine. In some late summer canyon, I heard the quiet snuffle you made as I lifted you from the birth water, held you to me. My job at the Zendo was to shake the heavy jute mats at dawn, returning dust to desert. The hummingbird moth would visit me then, lavender blossoms whirling in its wing wake. The light settled in my brain, made a place for you, an amygdala print of feathered antennae. Now I come to this temple nightly, bearing full breasts, the incense of sleep, to walk kinhin in noble silence. You are the hummingbird moth, and I am the lavender. As you latch and pull, I bow to your hunger, this dream. Also, this is a hummingbird moth. Printed by an artist friend of mine, Natalie Hinahara, who's also a Wisconsinite, and she makes really beautiful prints. So her name is in the acknowledgments of the book if you want to find her. All right. The next one is about this funny experience I had after having a baby, where I was sort of shocked by how little we talk about birth. And I somebody would cut me off in the street, and I would be like, do you know who I am? Like, do you know what I just did? And I saw mothers, especially, but all women in a very different way after going through that, and sort of had this sense of a strange and unique kind of importance after having done something kind of extraordinary, I thought. I mean, for me. It's different for everyone, but I was kind of like, wow, that was wild. So this poem is about that experience, and I just want to say for my dear niece in the audience, Lilia, I'm going to say the F word 4 times in this poem. Is that okay for the people at home? Okay, right on. That doesn't mean that we can say it in other places. I know she knows this. Everybody okay? Great. Okay, you can count backwards from 4 if you need to know how much you have to tolerate. Okay, it's called Marvel Us. The door opens for me at Target because they know what I have done. I grew a body in my body, made a person where there was none. How many women walk through life with this triumph on their brow? How many superheroes shop for coffee in this aisle now? My wound is not yet healed. I'm still timid in my gait. But holy bloody hell, can you not see my fucking cape? Count the hours of my labor, the length of the tear, the months of ill-fitting clothing and enormous underwear. Add pushing out a baby like any other clever ape. The hardest thing I've ever done, I did to earn this fucking cape. We cannot fly or shapeshift or move things with our minds or keep our hungry children from tantruming in line. Young mother hauling toddlers, the baby nestled in your nape. I don't know much about you, but I see your fucking cape. Now fill your cart with diapers, vitamins, and weeping, and a neon fucking sign that says, "Shh, baby sleeping." I know the animal behind your eyes, searching for escape, but all that's left to do is rise, let fly your blessed cape. I have a lot more time than I thought I was going to have, so this is great. I'm going to read the title poem next, The 100th Hour, which is about the repetitive motions of early parenthood, which also, as my kids have gotten older, it turns out are just the repetitive motions of love, the things we do on a daily basis, unthinking, to be in touch, to be in relationship with the people we love. So the 100th hour it's kind of about that, the way that time gets weird when you have a new baby, but also when your life has become so routine, so sunk into routine. The 100th hour. In my 100th hour of rocking her to sleep, I tilt my head to the side, resting hers on my neck. Outside the window, a hawk mantles and flies. I am jealous of her lightness, but not her freedom. This is not sacrifice. Mine, yours, hurt, work, gift, owe, all mean something different now that no one gives to get. In my 100th hour of rocking her to sleep, I account for her vertebrae like a miser counting coin. I've never wanted anything so much as for her to stay alive, gather her in like the last crop before rain, tufts of breath on my collarbone, tiny weather, bringing a new season and a new. In my 100th hour of rocking her to sleep, I wipe every third breath from the cold pain. A storm moves outside the window, thunder thrums, I hum to smooth over the first sharp slaps of rain. This gully washer love, sending anything loose to the sea, except my tiny boulder, rerouting rivers. Okay, the last one I'm going to read from here, and then I might beg your pardon while I find one more on my phone real quick. That's new, because Jenny inspired me to go off book, if you will. Yay. Okay, this one is called Name, and it's about the strange honor and burden of naming another human being. And it's kind of in a style inspired by another poet named Kay Tempest, who's a spoken word artist and musician who's really awesome. And their book, Brand New Ancients, has been one of my favorites for a really long time. So if you're into this kind of thing, check out Kay Tempest. They're a really incredible artist based in the UK. And so I kind of had, after reading Brand New Ancients, I had the rhythm of their work that whole book has a beat to it, and I had that beat in my body, and then just started kind of putting my own words to it. Name. First it was a question, then it was a secret. Now it changes a little every time we speak it. How will it wander? Where will it settle? Your name so tender, yet gaining grit and metal. Your name in the mouth of morning, your name on the breath of trust, your name on the ticket and boarding and soaring away from us. The name your teachers call you, the name you use at work, the name the river gives you in its language of beaver tail and birch. There's the name the ocean whispers the first time you visit and the last, the name you live into by learning from the past. Your name in the mind of millions, your name fruiting on the farm, your name on the guest list or tattooed on someone's arm, your name said in Gaelic, your name tracked in dust, your name remembered and then forgotten and then transformed into something glorious. Write it by the doorbell, write it on the tomb. I'll never forget it written on the wall in your delivery room. I cannot follow where you go, but I'll tell you 1,000 times. Mama is the truest name of mine. Indelible, sealed, signed. I want to tell you in a way that makes you know. I love you, no matter the name you write in breath on your window. Okay, now I'm going to be awkward for 20 seconds. Okay. Okay, here, this is one that I've just been working on, so it might not be out of that phase of writing bad lines, but I think it's good enough for now. It's called A Debate I Think I Won Last April. That makes you think it's going to be a long poem. It's really short. A debate I think I won last April. Poetry is impractical, you say. A hole in your shoe, your crunching step displacing gravel on the path. We stand beneath a tree giddy with flowers, branches low with the weight of a gazillion bright, weightless things. Impractical, clearly, to make this many blossoms, only when only a few become trees, and it's only the bees who are reading, and who are they going to tell anyway? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kitt. Thank you, Jenny, again. One more time for Kitt and Jenny. Fantastic reading. Just wonderful readings. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you, everyone at home. And yeah, feel free to please stick around, enjoy the good company, get your books signed, and so on. And thanks once again. Good night.